back to Behind the Box. Now it's time for our Netflix picks. And Nick, you have a really odd first pick.
Yeah, well, I just picked something everybody loves. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's a great movie. Why is that odd?
No, it's just... I wouldn't expect you to pick Honey, I Shrunk
It's
the
not
Kids.
really what I would be watching on a normal basis, but I was flipping through, and I've got, mostly on my list, I have a whole bunch of, like on my queue, I have a whole bunch of obscure documentaries and some series and movies, which I'll definitely present later on, as the show goes on. But I was flipping through, and children and family movies came up, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was on there. And then a few other classic movies, like from the 80s and 90s, are on there that, I loved when I was a kid. So I was just like, if you have kids or you just want to see that stuff again, it's probably on Netflix. Go back and check it out because it is hilarious to go back and watch.
I can't even remember when I watched that movie last.
Came out in 1989.
I think it might confuse people because they're using, rotary phones and.
It's like I watched the trailer.
In the movie.
What's a rotary phone? Rotary phone? What?
It's pretty bad. Like the graphics don't quite hold up very well. It's pretty bad, but it's a good family comedy.
Isn't that around
kids
when
movie.
they came out with what is it? Inner Space, was it? With
Oh yeah,
Oh my
where they
God.
shrank
there's a
down
lot of
into-
shrinking going
Martin
on
Short,
in the 80s.
Inner Space. Yeah, and who was the guy that got shrunk? That was
Dennis Quaid was in
Dennis
it.
Quaid. That's
He was the
right.
guy that they went into, right?
No.
He was
Martin
the guy
Short was the guy they went
Dennis
into.
Quaid was the one that
I
they
love
shot.
that movie. I used to watch that movie like crazy when I was a kid.
I've actually never seen it.
But this is good. There's sequels too.
Oh yes.
Yes,
yeah.
can you name the sequels?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids 2.
None of them had like the 2, 3, and 4. Like they didn't have those names. They
Honey,
had
I Blew Up the Kid.
I Blew Up the Baby was the
Oh.
second, or Blew Up the Kid. I don't know if it was the baby or kid was the second one.
Wasn't there Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Again? Or I don't remember.
I think it was Honey and We Shrunk Ourselves.
Oh, you're right. It was. It was definitely the parents.
The parents, they got so bored with the kids. Like, all right, well, we've already shrunk the parents. Or no, we've already shrunk the kids. We've already
all
blown
seen
up the baby. So what do we do now?
I thought the Blow Up the Baby was the third one.
No, Blow Up the Baby is
Was
the
the
second
second
one, I
one?
thought. Yeah. Because they were just getting desperate by the time they got to Honey, We Shrunk
I
Ourselves.
feel like the blowing up the baby was a desperation thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta ask, like, okay, how does this guy keep making these freaking mistakes over and over again? It's
I
like,
don't know. Keep calling Rick Moranis. See if he don't-
keep
will
Rick
do.
Moranis away from any technology, shrink rays, anything like that. Just kind of move him away from that. We don't need that.
I mean, look at his character in Ghostbusters. He was like the same guy that he is in this movie.
He's pretty much the same in every movie that he is
He
in.
plays it pretty well, though.
Do you remember him in Little Shop of Horrors? When he did the movie version of
did.
that? Oh my god, that was crazy.
But yeah, check it out. It's a decent flick.
I definitely, in the mood of retro, I may just go back and take a look
At
at
least
Honey, I
watch it for
Shrunk the
5
Kids.
minutes. Just kind of.
Yeah, why not?
Now, this is one show I've never looked at before, though.
Really?
Watch that for 5 minutes as well.
Did you?
I think Raphael watched it a little longer than
I
that.
I watched a good bit of it.
I watched the whole thing, and I was kind of sad that it ended. But everything's got to end. But
Now, you know I'm going to ask, you say that. Did it have an ending?
Now,
Or did it just
is the
end?
show over though? Because I thought they were still doing it.
I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely my Netflix pick because I think it's like 4 or 5 seasons,
Yeah.
something like that. It's about this group of government agents who have special powers. Some have strength. This one guy can see electromagnetic fields. He can control the internet with his brain. It's
But he's
amazing.
autistic,
Yeah,
which is cool.
I think he's got Asperger's actually.
But it's cool to see that represented as a
Right.
superhero character, like in a show.
Oh yeah, I mean he definitely wasn't like a caped, crusader or anything like that. He was kind of a young autistic teenager with an amazing ability that trumped everyone. I mean, he really did. He went from figuring out who he was, growing up in the whole show, and then later could have become a villain. I mean, he chose not to. So he has that keeping him on the right side. But anyways, the group of characters, the leads are amazing. I'm telling you, man, start watching it. It really is pretty cool. I mean, it's not like a...
Is it serialized? Is it like connected?
Superhero-
Each episode
yeah.
kind of leads into the next one?
Yeah.
And not like a standalone? Somebody does
Not
something
definitely
different?
not standalone.
Okay,
Like
cool,
there is a lead in. So.
I would say You can correct me if I'm
You
wrong.
said you
but
watched a few of it, right?
yeah, and I would say it's almost like a mixture between Heroes and X-Men. So like they're all joined on one team, but they all have their kind of individual stories and kind of their flaws and things like
Right.
that. So like the one kid has Asperger's, but then like the guy that has super speed, or he has like
Super
super
strength.
aiming ability or something like that. He
Yeah,
can
yeah.
shoot really well. He has kind of a rocky past, like he was a criminal back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that has super strength, he was a cop or something, right? But he has like
Ex-cop.
a bad marriage or something like that.
And he's kind of torn between both worlds, you know, working with government or
Yeah, oh yeah,
back
that's
with
his
the,
thing,
I think it was the
yeah.
FBI or something the guy he's with, and then his family and all this stuff. But
So it's cool that they're like flawed characters, but they have these superpowers.
yeah,
You know?
I think they all have their uses,
I
and
may
they come
actually go
together
home and
great
watch
as a
that
team.
tonight.
It
I'm
really
gonna
is
check
cool.
out the
Like
pilot.
give it a couple episode chance, and I think you'll enjoy it.
I'll give
Like-
shows a chance for a little bit. I'm
This
not,
is on
just
Sci-
like I'll give a chance for Halt and Catch
you
Fire.
gotta give that a chance.
This was on Sci-Fi, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's just,
Sci-Fi. That's amazing. Are they still running them? Because I wouldn't think Sci-Fi would like can something like that so quickly.
it was on a few years ago, but
Well,
I don't know if it's still on.
Sci-Fi usually gives
It's my
shows-
Netflix pick, so
It's definitely an interesting one. I think I may check that one out.
yeah, give it a chance.
Now for this one, I'm just gonna sit here like this. I'm not gonna say anything.
Nothing needs to be
Nothing
said
has to
from
be said.
Robbie.
220 was it 228 episodes?
A Lost?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
How many are there?
I don't know.
200.
I don't think they
That's
got
a
to
lot.
200, dude.
That's like the
Yeah.
Simpsons episode.
No, they didn't get to 200. Definitely not.
How many
man.
episodes are
6
there?
seasons, and the last 4 seasons only had like 17 episodes each. So I don't think they got that far.
I'm about to Google it, man.
I don't know. Google it. Google it.
I'm telling you, there's so many. It felt like there was 200 some odd episodes, but they're all on Netflix, which is
Yes,
awesome.
Yes, and you can start from the beginning when it was not so weird, and get all the way to the very end where it's super weird.
That
So-
might be debatable.
We have our
I'd
own
say
stories for that, you know.
It's a little weird in the beginning as well.
No, I didn't think it was weird. In fact, because most people in the first season, I thought it was a very down-to-earth show. I mean, yeah, the polar bear and the thing, but I mean, that was like, okay, that can be explained at some point eventually. I didn't, like, everything seemed very reality-based to me.
Well, they had that definitely a grounded story. Like in the later seasons, they went way off.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but there was always hints. I think that like
Yeah,
there's always
definitely.
hints that they could go to these places. Like even in the beginning, it was.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Well, and that's the one thing to me is because, and let me tell you guys know this. I am a rabid Lost fan. Like when it was on, I never missed an episode. I went to the chat boards after it was over with, and I used to like chat with all the other Lost friends.
You have it
about-
tattooed across your chest.
No, I don't have it tattooed across my chest. But the show, it's a great recommendation on Netflix simply because if you're looking for something that's got action, adventure, really good drama, sci-fi later on, because they go extremely sci-fi in
Death.
the later season. Death,
that's
I mean,
dying.
it's risky. There's all kinds of... And I think the thing that makes the show more than anything is the characters and the character development that they do throughout the show. If it was just all these people trapped on an island together, it would be like Survivor, and I just would have no interest in seeing how the story progressed. And they do all these backstories of each character, each episode. That's kind of the focus, and they go back to the island and show what they're doing. They do that for a couple seasons, and everything gets changed around as we get toward the middle and end of the show. But the first couple seasons really start out like on a reality-based world. There are a few hints here and there of time travel and some weird stuff going on, but we all just kind of thought, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, who knows, you know. It gave everybody something to speculate a bit, but, you know, there's a lot of controversy over the ending, and, you know, I just think some people didn't get it, and some people didn't really look into it the way it was supposed to be looked into in the end, so...
Or at least it has an ending.
Oh, it has a great ending. I never had a problem with the ending. If you want complete closure to these characters' storylines, they don't leave any room open for anything else. Now, when it comes to the mysteries of the island, if you're watching it just for that, you're not going to get the whole answer. You're not going to get everything. So, I don't know.
I would just say, in relation to your two picks, if the Cape is like a nice warm bath, Lost is like an Olympic-sized swimming pool as far as like how deep it is.
Yeah.
You know, the Cape you could just watch the one season and you're good with that. But the Lost, it's like 10 seasons, like how many?
6 seasons.
Okay, so it's like 6 seasons, and
And
it's
the,
like
and the later
deep.
ones, 4, 5, and 6, they shortened, and there were only like 15, 16 episodes.
But I'm saying there's a lot of content there.
Oh yeah, there definitely is. But
So if you really
know,
want to dive
I'm
into
gonna say
a show.
I've never recommended, like I've never had one person that I didn't tell watch Lost that watched it and came back and said, "Oh, I can't watch this anymore." Like I had 2 or 3 people one year where I was like, "Oh, you gotta watch Lost, a great show," and they went through the whole thing on Netflix within that year, and they were just like, "Wow, that's one of the greatest shows ever." So, Lost, Netflix, enough said.
All right, moving on to our. Stay with us for our next segment.
That's right. We're moving on from Lost, and we're going to go on to our future focus segment coming up next.